Good day to you, my fellow endoskeletons. I'm Kenetor and welcome back for another Starbase progress report. We're on week 36 of 2021, and if you're new here, I bring you the latest news and updates of everything Starbase every Monday. So make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss out. Now let's get to it. Another minor patch for Starbase like the week before, only a few bug fixes and the new Moonbelt PvP station was added. But the real new content was tucked away into the PTU patch, where large generators were added as well as ship shop updates, a huge amount of bug fixes, and new rules for large and small ship debris despawning. The main body of a wrecked ship has no changes however and should still stay in space for a year if memory serves. Another thing added to this patch is a large amount of missing craftable items and new modules for easy build mode. Warp class was also renamed to ship strength factor, and durability rules were slightly tweaked. However, the number still has no relation to how strong a ship is in relation to PvP or hitting an asteroid. It is just how well things are bolted to the ship compared to the stress it's under from its own thrusters and massive parts. Diving into our Lowry quotes of the week, and today we're starting with Lowry answering how fast cap ships will be, and he says it will be an estimated 1 to 40 kilometers per second, with a thruster to rate ratio being considered for max speed. And for those wondering on how small a cap ship can be, he says around 100 to 300 meters, but that's not final as they need to perform more flight tests first. It's no secret that Dev Build has had working or at least semi-working capital ships for some time, so hopefully it won't be long before we can start testing the first player-made ones in the PTU soon. Also sticking with capital ships, people were once again asking if they will get bigger weapons. Like a big laser, for which Lowry answers he's not gonna lie, once Moonbase Siege is coming, we must have orbital lasers too. But there's no official plans just yet. Could death rays be on the cards for the future capital ships? It's somewhat unnerving to say that they could be one day. When asked about player ship shops, Lowry finally gives us a time frame for these, and sadly it's not in the following months and could be next year, so we're stuck with the dev built player ship shops for now. But this being the case, the devs really need to look into some sort of reward or compensation for these designers putting in hours and hours of long, hard work for zero return, while others are selling thousands of ships via Discord and making bank from it. I would not be surprised to see the number of ship shops go down instead of up. I know I've certainly considered closing the K-Bot shop and running it in-house instead. The only downside to this would be the devs having to refund ores and credits instead of just issuing a voucher when a bug claims someone's ship, and this would be an increased workload for them. Let me know in the comments if you think creators should get a cut from their sales in the ship shops. It seems quite a few people were missing events from the old closed alpha days, and while running events with free ships will be banned for many reasons, Lowry says they have plans for events. But the content is most likely on a pretty massive scale, like new moon races for example. This is not what people wanted to hear it seems, and people are turning to the free resources on the PTU to organise their own events there instead. Our last quote comes from Reddit, with Lowry answering a plea to have buttons and readouts on control tables be boltless. He says it's actually been the plan for a long time now, and he will check with the team to see where they're at with it. Not long later, Lowry edits his message that to prevent accidental movement they have planned a simple lock slider somewhere in the side or below the main panel, and it could be that this part is not done yet. Personally, I would love to see this come in game, and they already have used this locking slide method for both missiles and torpedoes to hold all the parts together, so we know it works well. This week's progress report sees status on both some currently worked on features as well as some new ones just ramping up. And boy are some of these features heavily community requested. But we will of course kick off with the gallery, which we can preview some of these in. First up we have a new turret concept. With the old turrets being slow and bulky and not having very much survivability in operating one, these have been needed to be revisited since the start of closed alpha. And what we have here is a brand new bull turret concept. Bear in mind the devs are just blocking out here and none of this artwork is final. But this concept definitely gives the operator a much larger chance of surviving a hit or two, while also being a reduced target to hit in the first place. Here is hoping they can get them to work like the tripod weapons, with no host lag and seamless mouse controls too. Our next image is not hugely exciting, but a highly needed UI change that explains the simple task of how to manipulate objects you are holding. This image of the station access mockup is somewhat confusing as it technically has less control than the current one we have in game, but it adds a little color coding to the names instead. This next image however is quite exciting as it answers a lot of the questions I had from last week. Thank you Frozenbite. All the key info from this shot here is in the top left. We can see the station name, and for the first time, its level. This will no doubt be linked to how many station areas it can have, as shown lower down in the new building budget area. But continuing at the top here, we can also see a progress bar with numbers on voxel volume at the far right. Fill this up and you know you can unlock another area for your station. Above this and next to the name is also the player's current permissions on this station. It all ties together nicely and neatly to show you what you need to know while building your station. And the only real unknown here is the button with the credit symbol to the right of the top box. Hopefully I can get some info on this soon too. As for the limits shown here, personally I would ignore these numbers. As we've seen from how the ship limits have progressed, this will need a lot of real world testing on performance before anything can be ramped up. If you have been on the PTU recently, you may have already noticed this change. There is a brand new model for the durability tool, with the back looking like part of a recycled head of a poor endo. Our last image for the gallery section is another new crafting table. This one is named Resources Crafting Bench, and it's making me wonder if crafting benches are just a stopgap for real features, and if the real bigger features that will do things like manufacture and refining will be able to compete with just using these crafting tables. I'm interested to hear your comments on this too. Do you think crafting tables are relied upon too much? Will only the biggest factions bother to use station-based manufacturing or refinement, if you can do it all with the crafting tables? Let me know in the comments. But now onto the progress report, and we're starting with the spaceship registration and ownership. And ownership of course starts with the spaceship registration deed. This is classed as finished in all areas and can be used to register an abandoned ship to your character. This item will be key for proper and bug-free trading of ships, and I've shown this off before and requires just pointing at the ship and hitting register. But it will only work on ships that currently have no owner, so don't think you can go around stealing ships with this until the owner decommissions it. Next up we have the blueprint for newly owned ship. This will create a blueprint after registering a ship based off its current state, and just needs code to be finished. Hopefully this is just for the built-in blueprint of the ship and not actually give you an editor copy, as this will once again cause a lot of designs to be stolen. Renaming spaceships. Great to see the devs working on this highly requested feature here, and they will let anyone with access rights to a ship to rename them, and this is just waiting on code to be finished. Stations and Player HUD is our next section this week and starts with the improved station building HUD. This is what I showed you in the gallery, and this is still going to be some ways off, since it's still in design and art progress, and coding hasn't yet been started. Renaming station, just like the renaming of ships, pretty simple and again much requested feature here. Also just waiting on code to be finished. Last for this section is control guide for grabbed objects. It's art and design complete, but alas coding has not even been started yet. Hopefully code for just putting a list on the screen won't take that long once started. Company tools is up next and starts with company storage. This is still in design, but art and code have also already been started. The devs want our companies to have its own separate storage at stations, with access rights limitations via rank or individual. And he is hoping we also get to create separate storages for different ranks as well as deposit only for ore and part dumps. Company station and ship access control. I think this may be the first official mention of company owned stations to go along with the much awaited company ships. This is still in design and art production with coding not yet started, but I'm very happy company stations is coming, as it will certainly make things a lot easier in the long run. And last for this section is company events. This will include an event system and calendar for players to organise their own events. Of course, being a sandbox game, it's up to us to make our own content. So this could be anything from combat training events to a simple group mining run. And again, this is still waiting for design and art to be completed, with coding not yet started. And our final section is just one topic, but a big one at that, and it's the new ball turret. Other than the implications of having a working full-size turret, it also says here that these are for use on gunships, stations, and capital ships. Looks like we'll get to see some sort of weapons that can be mounted on military capital ships after all. Of course, these will only be usable during a siege, as normal safe zone rules apply to shooting out of one. So rather short progress notes, but still plenty to talk about. So I'll see you in the comments or over on my Discord for that. Don't forget you can send any funny or awesome clips and recordings my way for a chance to be featured on the channel. And as always, please do smash that like button, share this video with your friends and faction, leave a comment with any questions you want answers to, and I'll see you in the next one. Kenetor out.